This, I feel, is probably going to be a fairly debated topic no matter which single effect I select, because yes, I will be trying my best to only pick one effect per character. Naturally, these are all just my personal takes. Now, each character has numerous relic effects that are good, but there are those which I think are must-haves, some of which are more build dependent than others, where specific effects work just on generally every single build you can come up with for a character. For clarity's sake, I am only focusing on the unique relic effects for a given Nightfarer, not generic ones that everyone can use, such as, say, partial HP restore upon post-damage attacks, or stamina recovery upon landing attacks, which both are great for any given melee build, and characters use with such setups like Wylder, Raider, Duchess, Executor, Undertaker. You get the idea. One other thing. I know there are quest relics that have two unique effects on it for a given Nightfarer, like Wylder's Earring for instance. But I will still only be picking one specific effect that you can have, despite there being relics that are guaranteed that give you two unique effects. So just want to put that flat out there. Speaking of Wylder's Earring, let's segue into Mr. Poster Boy himself. Good old Wylder, the comfort pick character for many. Wylder in truth has three really outstanding relic effects. A great one and another I don't think too highly of. Of these, I gotta go with the double hookshot. I can see solid arguments for the fire afterburn from the Onslaught Stake ultimate, but the hookshot is just too damn good, dude. The mere quality of life it provides is enough for me to put it at his absolute best one. And it's the fact that not only does his movement improve a ton with it, but you can also use it for stuff like quick, safe revives and destroying enemy guards. This I find to be a rather underrated use of Wylder's hookshot, as you can open up certain troublesome enemies like Banished Knights for not only himself, but for your allies too. And of course, once you start factoring in all the little shortcuts and self-made skips you can pull off with the double hookshot, yeah, it's the best of Wylder's unique relic effects to me. But I will give a shout out to the Blood Hook from Deep of Night, as that is insanely good too. But again, you have the second hookshot skill effect, you can use the Blood Hook more, so it all still ties back to the double hook. Next up is the biggest bird, Guardian. This is tricky, as I think Guardian has probably the largest collection of most useful unique relic effects on a given character. Be it the Wings of Salvation heal, the prolonged Cyclone attack, Steel Guard shockwaves, or the ability to boast not only his own negation, but his allies' negation as well in Deep of Night. I think we have a bit of a crossroads. For solo play, I'd probably say his most desirable passive effect is the shockwaves upon guarding, as it simply makes Guardian's life easier in doing what he wants to do. However, in a team setting, I'd have to go with the heal from Wings of Salvation. I know I always appreciate it when being an ally to Guardian, as it can come in clutch if he has this to do a big revive or even just to cure status ailments and heal a party up. Honestly, I think Guardian is going to be the most difficult one here because I also see arguments for the sheer utility of his extended character skill too. But I gotta give it to the ultimate heal. I find it to just be too invaluable for a lot of given scenarios. Yep. Ironeye. Love him or hate him, he's here to stay since the beginning and it's never gonna change. But which of his unique relic effects reign as his best? Well, I give it to his double marking ability, for somewhat similar reasons to Wylder. It gives Ironeye more mobility options both in and outside of combat. The fact Ironeye can use his marking ability as an air dash has its uses, and of course in combat it's incredible for obvious use cases like burst damage, but you can make it an emergency escape button card as well, boasting Ironeye's survivability. The man doesn't have a lot of HP, so using this as a way to avoid damage is always good. Ironeye's other unique relic effects are great, and I was very close to giving this to his poison marking in Deep of Night, but ultimately, I personally gotta go with a +1 character skill use for Ironeye. But again, I can really see a case for that poison moth flight marking thing that he has in Deep of Night, because it's crazy. It's crazy good. Duchess. Oh, my sweet Queen Duchess. I'll try not to go on a full-blown ramble section for y'all's sake, but no promises. For Duchess, all but one of her unique relic effects are great, if you ask me. But they do vary depending on your given playstyle, and with Duchess, she's easily one of the most versatile characters in the entire game. Slap any build on her and it will work way better than you may initially think. And while I love my dagger reprisals and my melee dagger Duchess builds, and oh my, if the improved restage isn't just so good, and the invulnerability upon using restage for Deep of Night has proved to be absolutely game-changing if utilized well, in my mind, Duchess's best unique relic effect has to be defeating enemies during art boost attack power. This relic effect takes a bit of explaining, but I'll keep it brief for y'all. Basically, Duchess uses Finale, and during that window upon activation to when the priestess becomes visible again, she has that time to defeat any enemies to obtain a 15% attack buff per enemy slain. But it isn't just her who has to do the enemy slaying. No. Duchess's allies can help with this too. And it doesn't have to be enemies per se. It just has to be anything on the field with a health bar. So these crabs are fair game, for instance. Another thing to note is that the range of this effect appears to be limitless. When Duchess ults, no matter where her allies are on the map, she will get powered up if they defeat enemies, which means you can develop divide and conquer strats and cause something like this to happen. So yeah, while this isn't great for most Nightlord fights, for the other 90% of the run, especially if you have defeating enemies fills more of the art gauge, yeah, you'll be clearing field bosses left and right super fast and at nearly every turn. It is a must-have relic effect for any build on Duchess if you can. Next up, we got Big Bonk Man Raider. For him, I gotta go with taking damage during retaliate, boost attack power, and stamina. Primary reason being is that Raider gets further reward off of doing the thing that he wants to do. Soak up damage and trade hits. When taking damage during the windup of his punch, Raider gains a 10% attack boost and a 20% increase to his max stamina for 20 seconds. Given how often he can throw out his character skill, it's really good. That boost in damage, well, he already has some of the highest natural AR weapons in the game. And more stamina for him, the better, being that with all those big heavy weapons he's swinging around, or even if you're doing a fist build on him, a lot of his weapon options, if not all of them, use up a lot of stamina. So yeah, the bigger his stamina bar is, even for just 20 seconds, is always going to be a huge benefit to him. So yeah, I gotta go with this one for Raider. The little bundle of rage herself, Revenant. For her best relic effect, it's a toss-up between two, I think, both of which affect her ultimate. It's spending her own HP to fully heal allies, or the relic effect that boosts the damage of her summons and allies by 25% for 30 seconds. This to me is another Wylder situation where I feel both effects are absolutely worth the investment to keep, but when only selecting one, I'd personally go with the 25% increase to damage. Much like Duchess with her own ultimate buff relic, it lasts for 30 seconds, and while that doesn't sound like a lot, in Night Rain, a lot of actions can happen in 30 seconds. Again, I think the HP restore is also amazing, and I totally get if you disagree with me on this one, or any of my slashers thus far. But personally, I gotta go with the relic effect that does more damage, because having your allies be both immortal for a bit and having them deal even more damage so they get to go crazy, I mean, that's just very strong. Very, very strong. And as for our favorite witch, I'll have to go with collecting a sigil activates Terra Magica. It's a simple but always effective buff of 15% more magic damage dealt, so long as you are standing in that sigil, which lasts for 30 seconds. You know, a lot of buffs in this game last for 30 seconds, huh? This will impact allies' magic-related damage as well, so long as they're also in that sigil, so that's a nice little bonus. Really, why I have this as her best personally is because it's a buff earned through doing an action that Recluse does constantly, collecting sigils to power up a big attack. She gets further reward off of an action she already wants to do, so this buff will always be a constant in every single battle. A straight net positive, so yeah, in my opinion, I gotta go with this one for Recluse's best unique relic effect. Onto the Executor, and lordy lord, the glow up this character has received, huh? I always thought he was really solid throughout Night Rain's life, but after the last major balance patch update, it's hard not to consider him as one of the most satisfying characters in the game. And a massive part to that is what I think is almost obviously Executor's best unique relic effect. The character skill boosts attack but lowers negation while attacking. Why are all of these such an absolute mouthful? Okay, the short of it is, while his Cursed Sword stance is active, Executor gets a 35% increase to all damage while in that stance, but also receives 40% more damage done to him after initiating an attack. The damage increase after performing an attack lasts for 6 seconds, while the negation lasts for 5 seconds. It turns the Cursed Sword stance itself into a very rewarding double-edged sword. The amount of damage dished out in this is frankly nuts. From regular R1 hits with the Cursed Sword itself, to critical attacks or his Suncatcher skill, it's big boy damage. Of course, the lower negation is absolutely something to watch out for. 40% is a lot. Put that into perspective for a second. If you have a negation at full HP 40% active, and you get hit after doing an attack while in this stance, so that lower negation is kicked in, well, you just got hit for what's essentially damage without that full HP negation. So then imagine if you didn't have that full HP negation and you got hit, right? It's certainly a relic effect that is best utilized by those who are comfortable with Executor's moveset and have knowledge with his kit. For the sheer amount of damage that can be done with just himself, I have to give this as Executor's best relic effect. Moving on to the DLC duo, first up we have Mr. Book's Scholar. Probably the most interesting character in the game to me mechanically, which makes the unique relic effect I've picked as his best to be rather funny because it's probably his most straightforward effect. The ultimate art causes damage over time. Yeah, I know, it's simple and boring, but like, it's so useful! It can tick away at large boss HP bars while your allies dish out more damage and heal from those attacks, and also defeat any smaller enemies nearby that could pester you just from initiating the ult. Or, run this with defeating enemies fills the art gauge and you'll be cleaning up whole camps practically by yourself. It's rather crazy how effective this is at just clearing mobs. And now going to Undertaker, this one took me some decent consideration, as I don't believe it's as clear-cut as some of the others here on this list. I think the incantation buff relic effect is really cool, and I've seen it do insane damage when you actually get good incantations that can make use of it. And I think the chain attack finisher's relic effect is also great when you're using Undertaker's hammer, as her standard chain is only 4 hits long, and continuing after that it becomes only 3 hits. So you're constantly refilling that chain attack finisher buff so long as you're pretty familiar with Undertaker's moveset. So reaching that final hit is not really too tall of a task. In the end though, I decided to go for the attack boost upon activating her ultimate art. While it is a 14% damage increase, whereas the chain attack finishers is 16%, the former lasts for double the length as the latter. You may initially think, well, Undertaker needs to use her ultimate to gain that buff, and while yes, that is true, let's not forget that she gains use of her ultimate from both her allies using their own ultimate moves, and also from dodging an enemy grab, which is not too incredibly uncommon, giving her way more times to actually utilize her ultimate than the rest of the roster. Ideally, you'd have at least 2 of these relic effects on your build, of course, but if I had to pick just one, it's gotta be this one. As it also doesn't lock me into just using hammers. And yes, chain attack finisher's buff doesn't require Undertaker's signature weapon to use, unlike, say, Duchess with her dagger reprisal, where you're forced into using daggers with that. It's just, oftentimes, going for chain attack finishers can be riskier in my experience with larger weapon classes, which, given Undertaker's strength stat matching Wylder's, you'll probably want to go into heavier weapon classes like great swords or colossal weapons because Undertaker can actually make great use of those weapon classes. And she can poise through attacks with the use of her character skill. So yeah, personally, I gotta give it to her ultimate increasing her attack power. Another quick shout out for Undertaker though too, I wanted to mention her Deep of Night relic effect, as I think this one is also really cool too, where when she uses her ultimate move, it readies her character skill instantly. So with how much she can spam her ultimate in multiplayer, this gives her just insane uptime on her character skill, allowing her to just be a berserker more and more efficiently. So while I'll still give it to the general use of always having more attack power when using the ultimate, I do think this one is really cool too. I wanted to go over the more generic relic effects in the game for each of the characters too, because a lot of these characters can make use of so many different relic effects effectively, and I do think some of them are better used on certain characters over others and stuff like that, but then there's also ones like partial HP restoration, which are just great on any character that you do a melee build with. So there's a lot to discuss there, but if I did, we would be here for so much longer. With that being said, y'all, this is going to close the video out, and if you enjoy this kind of content from me, I do indeed plan on doing more Night Rain content in the future, as well as other Souls games, but I think from here I am going to start pushing toward The Legend of Zelda, because god, do I have a lot to say about that series. So, if you want to see content like that, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button, liking this video, as it really does help boost the channel up, and I will see y'all in the next one. Adios.